Since the passing of my sister and my two parents, I no longer live in the role of a son or a brother. It kind of is an interesting time in life when you're the only one left. But I do have the honored role of being a husband and a dad and a granddad. Now, with Father's Day approaching, I wanted to share with you a poem that I read years ago. It is entitled, My Little Boy's Dad. But if you have a little girl like I do, then insert that into the poem. Well, she's no longer really little, but I guess as parents, all of our children are still our little children. Now, the next few stanzas of a poem may help us all to be able to reflect upon the importance of our role as dads as we celebrate Father's Day this coming Sunday. Now, I want to take the liberty, if you will allow, to change the last stanza just a little bit to what I think is actually more biblical. You see, I'm a dad, and maybe like you feel like you've blown it a lot. Maybe more times than you really want to remember. I'm sure I've frustrated my children, manipulated them, I've worried about them, and I've failed my three children in many ways. Now, there have been times I'm sure I've led them well, and other times maybe not so well. I guess I'm just still a work in progress. Now, have they made all the decisions that I thought were wise? Perhaps not, but neither did I under the love and care of my parents. So the question at hand is, am I really a successful dad or am I a failure? Now, I really think success is the trajectory in which we are constantly trying to point them. Let me quote from Nancy Guthrie in her devotional entitled, He Knows How Weak We Are. She states, so here in Psalm 103, we find good news for parents who failed their child, for parents who have been angry, you ever been there, impatient, or even cold. She says, we have a Father who is tender and compassionate toward us. He's not pointing fingers or putting us on trial. He's mindful of our limitations and frustrations. He is more aware than we are how the way we were parented imperfectly impacts the way we parent. He knows how weak we are in faith, in discipline, in consistency, in wisdom, and in relational skills. He remembers, and I love this, that we are dust, and that we're doing the best we can in the world we don't control to parent children who we don't ultimately control. The good news for imperfect parents is that we have a perfect parent. He's strong and faithful enough to use even our failures to glorify Him. He works in and through our weaknesses to show His power and strength. Now, ultimately, our children have to make their own decisions and choose their own journey. So this Father's Day, be encouraged. Jesus remembers that we're dust. Psalm 103, verse 14. To Will, Sarah, and Joshua, I love being your dad. More proud of you than you will ever know. You've taught me so much about life and more importantly, maybe about myself. Now you folks here, now listen to this poem now. I've added a few additions at the end. Also, I want to wish all of you dads a happy Father's Day from one story at a time. The poem, My Little Boy's Dad. I may never be as clever as my neighbor down the street. I may never be as wealthy as some people I will meet. I may never have the fame that other men may have, but I've just got to be successful as my little boy's dad. There are certain dreams I cherish that I'd like to see come true. There are things I'd like to accomplish before my working days are through. But the task my heart is set on is no mere passing fad. I've just got to be successful as my little boy's dad. You see, it's the one job I dream of, the task I think of most. For if I fail my little boy or girl, I have nothing else to boast. For all the wealth and fame I'd gather, my fortune would really be sad if I failed to be successful as my little boy's dad. Now, I may never come to glory, I may never gather gold, and men may count me as a failure when my business life is told. But if my little boy or girl can grow up with the trajectory of a dad who pointed them in a godly way, then I'll be glad, because I know that I've been successful as my little boy's dad. Happy Father's Day.